Hello, team. You know what this is. This is a line war cast between two players at the top of the ladder. Someone said that my nickname sucks. We are going to refer to them as nickname for obvious reasons versus Haako. I hope that we've said Haako's name right. We're going to say it like that the whole game, and I very much do apologize if that's not how to say the name. And props to someone said that my nickname sucks for uploading these replays in the Line War Discord. They also nickname's not afraid to upload replays where they lose, so it's very fun for us because I've never seen this game. I have no idea if they will win or lose or what's going to go on. So let's get into it. You can kind of see the layout of the map. We can hear 3 factories going down immediately for nickname. Haako is in red, by the way, and nickname is in blue. So this is the map that we're working with. Haako's taking a airfield in the mountains, a factory, and a barracks, and immediately getting into a little bit of a skirmish here on the mountains. We can imagine that this is going to be a wide open land map in a lot of ways. The Navy can become a thing. We'll see what goes on. It might not turn out to be a huge factor. 2 more barracks for nickname, and nickname's going for a quick 3 tank factory push. And this can be devastating and just end the game immediately if it's done well and the opponent is not ready for it. So we will see what happens. The tanks need gas, so probably going to secure one of these 3 wells. This well would, of course, be the most exposed for nickname to take, but at the same time, in for a penny, in for a pound. If all your production is here, you better hope that you're going to, if you better be able to defend this well, or else you're probably not defending your own production. Haako's going for a quick refinery. We don't really know the timings in this game. That's too quick or something, but they definitely will have some gas by the time we'll see what they're building in a second, but whatever comes out of the airport for Haako will have gas right away. You can see tanks move very slowly through forests, as you can imagine. I cannot imagine driving a tank through a forest. Can't imagine it's going to be as quick as going right through the open. And nickname, the idea here that they would the thing they're trying to do right now is trying to find the production and then kill the production with the tanks. But they're in a sort of weird spot because this is enough infantry that this can really ruin nickname's day if the infantry were to just be allowed to get on the factories unopposed. So they're gonna take this on. We can see how these units trade. 3 tanks versus, what does this guy count? 6 infantry. We believe it's like 4 infantry to 1 tank, so this nickname will clean this up. I mean, in our experience, I think that's the general math on the trade. 3 SAMs, the surface air missile kits coming out for nickname out of the factories, and I hear, we hear a commando, that little machine gunny sound. So Haako's getting some commandos, and these could be pretty big if you can kind of circle them around and get in on the production. We can see what their plan is, and that is exactly what their plan is. They're just retreat commanding these commandos right at into that forest. There's choppers on the way for Haako, another factory. We're still learning what they look like when they get built, and we always forget. And Haako has their own tanks coming up. This is probably a good time to check the economy in this game, just to get an idea of what the immediate effect is. It's 356 for Haako and 380 for nickname, so nickname with a slight lead. And you can decide for yourself who has more economic development potential based on the map. So for those unfamiliar, you make money in this game by having, among other things, but most importantly by controlling territory on the map, all these different squares that you see. So if you have people that go in there, it takes time, you capture it, and then you get income. It's, I think, 4 a second or something for each thing. We're still learning what the heck is going on in this game. It's very fun though. Nickname does have a refinery, so those tanks aren't gonna run out of gas anytime soon. But the helicopters could be a problem if there's a little bit of micro potential in this situation for where the helicopters go and how they counterplay off of these SAMs. And we're really going to see what the plan is here for nickname. This commando's not going to be able to do anything on top of this production, and nickname's doing a great job to back cap with the rest of their infantry, so they're also getting an economic lead. I think they're getting an economic lead. I mean, there's 2 barracks down here pumping out folks that can actually capture. And of course, as you get more people on a territory, you capture that territory quicker. So, Haako is kind of pushing up to this production, and it's going to be. I would be terrified if I was Nickname right now, but Nickname probably has a better grasp on the situation and how to defend this, because these 2 tanks, if they were to get on the production without any of these tanks of Nickname being there, they can very quickly kill factories, as you can imagine. Nickname has their own commando taking out this factory of Haako, which is huge play, because now the multitask starts, and Haako needs to be on top of it, because that commando will destroy that factory over time. These tanks are probably not going to be able to do much. If 4 SAMs against 2 tanks, we can kind of watch what's going to go on there and see the tanks are. We'll see what the commands are. Yeah, Haako's just trying to get them out, get them through this forest, because this isn't going to work. And if Haako can actually get these tanks to have Nickname's tanks follow them, then their infantry and artillery will be able to kill these buildings. This is great for Haako right here. Picking off some of these tanks, they probably will get another one. They might even be able to get the 3rd if these SAMs didn't show up. This artillery is now pounding away at this factory, so it's going to get it. We can check the income right here, 488 for Haako, and I believe more. Yeah, exactly, 572 for Nickname. That commando for Nickname didn't get this factory because an artillery piece popped out, and they must have had detection. But they're sending that commando down towards the airfield of Haako, and the oil, importantly, because if Nickname can get the oil and have these choppers grounded because they're out of fuel, that'd be enormous, because then the tank advantage that Nickname has will really be able to, really be able to do some damage. Nickname's push with infantry here is going to get cut off, but that's okay. There's only 2 there. Still pumping some commandos, and defending this gas will be vital for Nickname. If these 2 tanks were able to kill the gas, which I don't think they're going to be able to, but maybe, like, this would be a big play, because these tanks need the gas, of course. We can hear that Nickname's commandos are on top of the airfield. Let's see if Haako notices it. Yes, Haako does, so they're dispatching the choppers to deal with this. They probably will be able to get the commandos before they destroy the airbase, but we'll keep the picture large to see if they can. Meanwhile, Haako has 2 commandos here about to move into the forest. They might be able to get on the production. Nickname is trying to do the exact same with tanks on this northern production of Haako, and you can see this whole front is kind of opening up. The SAMs are a little bit in the middle, which is good, because they're going to be able to rotate to go wherever the choppers do, wherever they're needed. We can see that these 2 tanks weren't able to kill this refinery, so Haako is a great play. Nickname was on top of it. Nickname is going to be able to get on top of this production, but now there's 2 tanks. Like, I wonder if they're going to be able to kill all the. I like Haako's move on the production almost more than Nickname's here, or rather, like, the chance of success. If these tanks moved out, these commandos would be able to kill those buildings. We can take a look at what goes on here. These 3 tanks are going to get that barracks, but then they are going to be cleaned up by the rest of the tanks. They're kind of forced to retreat. We see that these 2 commandos weren't able to get the airfield, which is pretty. That's very unfortunate, because that would have been a very big play for Nickname had they been able to pull this off, because now these choppers are able to fly around because the gas is still existing on that mountain. We'll see if the commando can get this. They definitely can't. The tanks clean them up, and we can economy check this. Both players have a ton of money. Nickname's income is better for now. No one is going for economic development yet. You can see these spots on the map. This is where you can put a town and upgrade it to a city. Once you have the industries around the town, which are these 2, there should be a 3rd. I can't see it. Sue me. Yeah, I think that's it. It's a mine. Once you have all 3 of those, you can upgrade your towns into cities, which give you even more money, that are equivalent to 10 territories on the map. So quite strong. The south of the map is this is quite an interesting map, in the sense that this mountain range is like a natural protecting you know, geographical spot for these three gases, which could be big as the game carries on. Nickname has a huge tank advantage here. Because as you can see, I mean, once they link up, it's going to be 7 tanks against 3. There's more tanks on the way, and Haako has 1 factory that can go for tanks. Of course, Nickname has 3. This factory was able to survive. This is why these SAMs in the middle are, although they're attacking infantry, it's kind of not ideal, but this is why it's kind of nice, right? Because they're going to be able to take on these helicopters. And they might not kill them, but they make it so that these 3 helicopters can't be up here fighting. Nickname will get 1 building, probably not more. And I think this looks good for Nickname in a lot of sense. Because they even have tanks in reserve, so it's not like Haako is going to be able to counter push after cleaning this up. Nickname does lose the SAMs in the middle. There's clearly a gazillion things going on in this game, so it's hard to, you know, multitask to make sure that the SAMs stay alive. Or I'd imagine you'd want to keep the SAMs alive there, but there are more on the way. And SAMs do fantastic against helicopters, as you can imagine. Haako is coming up with strikers, following this up with. Their fields are making strikers, which are great at taking out ground targets like tanks or buildings. Haako is out of fuel. When we see that with the black smoke on the helicopters, it means that they're running out of fuel. So we can see that there's not that much. You have to land the helicopters in order to be able to use these strikers, but they will be able to make quick work of the SAM. Now they're uncontested until these 2 get here. They get 1 tank. They get 2 tanks. They might be able to get 3 tanks, but I doubt it. This 3rd tank will be cleaned up by the tanks of Haako. More, I think, are these 2 refineries just right on top of each other that we didn't notice? I don't know what this is building. I thought this is refineries. Haako is for sure out of gas, and this is going to be a big problem for them because they have so much gas potential. Tanks use gas, helicopters use gas, of course strikers use gas, and now they can't fly. And this commando and tanks probably are going to be able to kill some of this production. Big tank battle in the middle of the map. This one's just facing the wrong way, hanging out. Probably just capping this territory. Now it turns around. We can check the income. Haako at 620 with some money in the bank, and Nickname at 860 with some money in the bank. This will get cleaned up. This is Haako reacted well to this and quickly to this, and luckily had the gas to be able to deal with this and get the strikers up in the air. But you can see that they're really running out of the gas. And once they get down and that hits 0, these tanks are going to be more exposed because when a unit is out of gas, it takes more damage. So it'll just be easy for Nickname to clean up. Nickname's gas is fine. The production down here is also not at risk yet, and Nickname's going to be able to push east. And there's a lot of territory actually over here. And you can kind of get like a little bit of a surround on where Haako can work with. Because on this map, you can't really expand to the north. You can. There is a city and some industry, but there's not a lot up there. Not a lot of land or income potential. These 3 tanks are trying to retreat by so that they can get onto the production. They're not going to be able to, which kind of gives Haako a numbers advantage here, and we'll see what they do with it. Nickname is economically developing, though, and there's more production on the way. I guess these were factories. We really need to learn what things look like when they're being built. More production on the way for Nickname. We have more production for Haako, but I would say certainly that Nickname has the upper hand right now, for sure. There's more economic development going on for Nickname. They're going to be able to get that northern little part of the island, but Haako does clean up all these tanks. So it's kind of a good reset moment for Haako to decide what they want to do. Nickname has almost 1,000 income, and Haako is trailing behind with 630. It's worth mentioning that Nickname is, I believe, quite a little bit higher than Haako in MMR, so it's not an entirely unexpected result. Like Nickname, I believe they're number 2 on the ladder right now, so you can imagine very difficult to play against them when they get a little bit of an advantage. There's a power plant for Haako. They recognize that they need gas. Power plants are not as efficient as refineries in creating energy, but they do create some energy. We could get stats on it, but I don't know what they are, and I don't feel comfortable enough like using this to check. Like we could go try to see. We can't. place buildings in a replay or act like we could place buildings. Nickname's economic advantage will slowly start to snowball here. This is unfortunate. It's a great idea from Haako, I think. If they get a factory, this is actually worth it. But these SAMs might be able to get rid of the... No, actually, Haako's going to be able to get this factory, for sure. This is done. And you can see that how quickly strikers can kill a building. That's a big win for Haako, I think. They're rebuilding their tank production. Nickname is still keeping all of Haako's units at home here by using these commandos and targeting these production facilities. 5 tanks rather, pushing up to this production too. That will be a serious problem for Haako. You can see that the gas is quite low. If there was more gas for Haako and they were able to fly more, they might be okay. Haako started building interceptors, by the way, that we can see, so fighter jets, and they're really good at shooting other planes out of the sky. But there's no planes for Nickname yet, and I don't think there's no airfield on the way. Haako's had found good success taking on these tanks with the helicopters. So there's no more SAMs around. The SAMs are sticking at home, which probably makes more sense given that there's strikers out on the field now, because you don't want to lose your production. It's very expensive, and of course you can't produce units anymore to fight. Haako is 700 income, Nickname at 1200, and we can see how much money both players have. There's quite a bit of money for both players to work with. These tanks are retreat moving. They're running into a bunch of units which kind of naturally body block them. So great defense by Haako there. They really need to find a way to develop economically, which is so much easier said than done. They are in the north, which is great. It's easier said than done in the sense that it's like, yeah, just develop economically against the number 2 rated player in the world. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I think they're doing great. They're doing a lot better than I would be able to do. If these tanks can get rid of the airfields, I think that's like the beginning of the end in this game. It feels almost like desperation, but it is a smart move to get on that production, because that's really the only thing that Haako can do at this point. They need to defend here and then kind of push back, I'd assume, through the south, because there is a lot of production here. And so they've found this, in the sense, they probably know that there is stuff down here. We'll see what they do there to deal with it. Another town going down for Nickname, so a lot of income potential. These 2 SAMs are just hanging out, going on a little trip. We have a dock, which I don't know what it's going to build. Maybe a transport boat and take this gas or something. So Nickname will be able to get control of these little bays, which if there's planes flying around at your production and you have a few missile ships right here, they actually would do a great job against some of the strikers if they come up to the north. We'll see if that's the play or if it's just a single transport boat. Haako definitely has quite a few planes, which is great. They've been able to accumulate a bunch of planes. They're going to get rid of this SAM. There's not a ton of SAMs left for Nickname. There's just the 3 that I can see. We can see this is what I mean by this economic development, though, of the Nickname's getting these industries, and if they're able to get this 3rd industry and then upgrade this to a city, that's a ton of income. We can see the Nickname's development in the north too, and this is entirely uncontested. There's just, this is multitask galore, which this game is. It's actually quite fun. If you've never tried it at some point, if you see it on sale on Steam or a demo, it definitely is worth a try. But it does get hectic. You can see, especially with commandos, these are S tier units as far as I'm concerned. I think as far as a lot of people are concerned, the commandos, the how you can open up the game with the multitask. Like, because imagine as Haako here, if you lose this airstrip, I believe if you destroy the airstrip and there's planes in the airstrip, the planes are destroyed too. I'm gonna say that without knowing for sure, and you can take my word for it or not. Either way, losing that airfield would not be ideal. Haako has found all this economy. It's pretty important that they deal with this before that economy starts you know, paying off for Nickname. Although Nickname's at 1400 economy and Haako is at 700. I think Hako's put up a very good fight, but this is starting to crumble a little bit because very soon Nickname will just be able to steamroll production. With twice as much production, you can imagine, even if you just go for like a huge artillery and SAM blob and just push across the map, unless Haako were to like nuke it or, you know, get favorable fights somehow, they might be in trouble. These two strikers were both downed by these two SAMs, although Haako will be able to get this town over time. They're starting to put production in the mountains. This is, I think, a great play to get rid of this, these two tanks. There's another production down here. There's actually quite a bit of land here. And you really don't want to lose this part of the map, in my maybe, you know, errant opinion, but I feel like this is somewhere that you have to care about. Haako's putting down more production. You can see the money though. 833 income for Haako, 1430 for Nickname. Can they get this city? This is the question for Haako. If they can get this city, that would be a big win, but this production's coming online. And between the commandos and a few infantry and a SAM, unless Haako target fires it, which they are, so they might get it. We'll kind of see this. We can watch both fronts at the same time. Tanks against pre-deployed artillery. Yeah, I still don't know how to read those fights with artillery and tanks. Sometimes I'm surprised at how well tanks do versus artillery, but then vice versa. So still learning. This is a great move by Haako to be able to get this down. And if they can kind of push back up to here, that would be great. And then you kind of, you know, surround this production. But there's 4 tanks in the mountains. They're going to be very strong. Nickname's able to take out that production. Haako sorta has to counter push. Okay, so this is what this stockyard was doing. What a move. These 4 commandos. This is just, you know, SEAL Team 6 going at it. Haako... this is starting to look very bad. Haako still has a decent amount of planes, but that airstrip was killed. This one commando, if there's a kill count on stuff, I wonder how many this has. Yeah, we can just see SEAL Team 6 down here. Just going at it. They're going to be able to take this northern part of the island and destroy that town. This is a good push by Haako, or rather I think it is. These strikers and interceptors are kind of fighting commandos, which isn't always the best. It takes them a while to kill them. But these 2 tanks are going to be able to push quite a bit, because there's not a lot of artillery here, and there's no air cover, and there's no other tanks for Nickname. There's no tanks coming to fight these tanks. We can kind of get an idea of like what's going on in the whole map. A little bit of skirmishes in the bottom right side of the map. This will become a hotly contested area in the south here, and there is a rather large fight in the center brewing, but neither side is really reinforcing that fully. These tanks from Nickname in the north are going to be able to get on all this production very quickly, and I don't think that Haako's going to be able to have the planes at this point to deal with these tanks and the northern tanks. There's just quite a few tanks at this point for Nickname. We can see if there's any more gas that they have gone for, or maybe there's just there's no second refinery. There's more production for Nickname in the south. Yeah, Haako has just two power plants and a refinery. And there's 2 refineries for Nickname. Jesus, sometimes it's so hard to see all this stuff. We have missed so many nukes casting these replays. Like, which maybe I'm just saying, like, we're the worst caster, don't watch these videos, but it's just so difficult to keep track of all of it. So props to both these players for being able to multitask like they are. Haako is responding to this, but there's so many tanks on the ground. It doesn't matter if you have a tactical advantage, if the numbers advantage is just so out of your favor. They're doing a good job to push back down here, but really there's 3 production facilities, so Nickname naturally will just accumulate the forces to deal with it. These tanks were able to kill the one production building. They probably won't be able to get anything else unless these Sams from Nickname are able to get up to support these tanks and get rid of the things in the air. Because the tanks will be able to get through this ground army very well. I mean, the planes have to go home anyway. They're out of the, you know, they're done with their mission. Their payloads are depleted. These tanks from Nickname are probably just going right at the airfield. They're just target moved on this. Bombers from Haako. Which, if you could, we don't know enough about, pardon me, we don't know enough about bombers to know how to use them. Like, this might be good if there's no SAMs here and you were able to just always send bomber sorties at the production and at the economy of Nickname. They could come in, you know, they could be very useful. These two tanks aren't going to be able to do it. I don't suspect they'll get anything here. There's just so much body blocking of infantry that's going on and commandos here. There are, I mean, these 6-7 tanks or whatever, and more tanks coming up are going to be able to destroy all of this production. Nickname has stopped making boats. These are probably just all commandos still. Yeah, and once these commandos kind of get in the fight, I mean, you can see this is definitely falling apart for Haako, just under like the immense weight of the economy. Like, Nickname is at, what did we just see, 1780, and Haako is at 740. Both players have money to spend, but I mean, there's just so much going on. Very well played. I think that was a great fight. Some very strong use of commandos. So the bomber is going after this refinery. That's a cool play. That's a smart play. If you can get this just off of like 1 or 2 bombers, it could be good because you can see the range of the airfields. We put on this overlay. It's sometimes hard to see with multiple airfields, but the bombers can get all the way to these red lines. So all of this is in range. Great use of commandos from Haako there. It's you know, just a situation of a little bit too little, too late, but you can see the power of single commandos going behind enemy lines. Even single ones. If you have more, that's great, but just multitask wise, you can really get your opponent off their game. They're feeling flustered, they miss a few, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've taken out production facilities. And I mean, we weren't even seeing this, right? Like, it's hard to keep track of as a caster who isn't even, you know, clicking buttons. We're just watching, and it's hard to keep track of. So imagine playing. This is a huge amount of commandos. They're going to be able to wipe all that, and they will be up here in the fight momentarily. These infantry are still body blocking these tanks. Haako did a good job to kind of like contest this area, but there's so much production. We can just watch like the big map view of like what's actually happened here. Yeah, even the bombers down here might be cool. Not that that was ever going to be a realistic option. There's way higher priority targets for Haako. These SAMs, we can see how effective they are. And now that these planes are dead, there's no more planes left for Haako. And all of the production, or the units of Nickname are on the production of Haako. Nickname also has like a few units around their energy sources, just in case Haako was to send some commandos to it. Because one of the best ways to like have comeback moments is to snipe gases and then pick off all the things that can't move on the map anymore for the other player. Pardon me. But that's obviously not going to happen. Nickname has enough gas. This game is over. We can see the lines. You can see what both players try to do, like the general idea in their head of where their lines are, which is kind of cool about this game. You can kind of get in the mindset of a player, of how they feel the game is going, where they want to go. And there you go. GG. Very well played to both players. And yeah, I mean, props to Haako. I think that was a good fight. And yeah, no, it's thank you for watching the video, dropping by. I stream Lime War, tons of other folks do too. Follow the category on Twitch, drop by, say hello, and enjoy your evening, day, whatever it is. Yeah, have fun. Peace.